Markets dropping more than 1% to start off the week. The S&P marking its lowest close since December 3rd. And the Chartmaster says we could be bumping up against a key support level. Let's bring in Carter Worth of Worth Charting. Carter, what are you looking at?
Sure. I mean, the remarkable thing, of course, is before we look at the charts is how little damage there's still been done at the index level. The Russell 3000, effectively 98% of the investable universe in the United States, is down a mere 5%. And yet half of all stocks have lost 20% in the index. Let's look at a couple of charts and try to figure it out. The first is the S&P. And what we know, of course, is we've sold off to that September high. And so what is the concept of support? Well, we're just now down to support, but support is not a plywood board or a concrete floor. It's a mattress top. Once at support, you can sink into support. So look at the next chart. So support begins at the 45 level. That's the September high, but it goes all the way down to the lows of October. And you can see that's there at the 4280, 4300 level. Look at the third chart. So I try to put this all in context. We're at support, but the principle is that often you sink into support, down into the mattress, until you ultimately bounce. I don't think we're finished with the sell-off. Where could we go? Well, you could go anywhere, but let's look at the last two charts. Were we simply to go to the midpoint of where the support is in play, it would be a 6.8% drawdown from the peak. And the last chart, were we to go to the bottom, that would be a drawdown of about 9.5%. Now, it's important to say the last time we had a 10% peak to trough decline was exactly a year ago. And so this kind of thing used to be ordinary, but in the markets of late, it's not. I think at some point it will be ordinary again.
Are there sectors, Carter, that offer some, defense amidst this potential sell-off, even if it's just a sinking into the mattress top sort of sell-off?
Sure. I mean, it's the playbook is quite often the playbook from history. It's things that are lower beta, that are defensive in nature. And so staples, of course, act well. Utilities act well. Highly defensive, marquee, large cap, certain tech stocks act well, et cetera, and so forth.
Okay. Carter, thank you. Always good to speak with you. Carter Braxton Worth of Worth Charting. Guy is chuckling, I think, about the mattress top is my guess.
I mean, Carter should do commercials like Casper. He's a genius. He's a marketing genius. He doesn't even realize it. I want to be his agent. I'll quit everything else and just sort of be his agent. Genius.
Is that all the commentary you have?
Oh, I didn't know you wanted me to talk. Listen. I agree. I mean, I don't know if it's a mattress top or a firm mattress or water mattress for that matter, but I think where we traded down to today in the S&P 500 should provide short-term support. So although I think the beginning of the year is going to be challenging, I would think the next couple of days is going to be pretty good for the broader market.
Jeff, do you go by that old playbook that seems to be working or have worked? Looks like it's relative strength here.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Carter glanced across two things that I think are interesting. Number one, sort of the average stock being down 20%. I went back and looked to 1980 through today, and if you look at 10 to 20% correction, so not bear markets, the average stock usually falls about 30% for the market bottom. So we're getting there. We're not there yet. That's why I do think we kind of push into that mattress, as Carter said, and I'm looking to that 4,300 level. But also, I mentioned this on Friday, there has been a tone change in the market, and a lot of that has to do with staples over discretionary. That's really been kind of a beacon for risk on, risk off since the bottom in 2020, with discretionary beating staples sort of week in and week out. That has reversed, so I'll be looking to that relationship to try to see when that tone changes again and the market can go higher.
Dan?
Yeah, I'll just say keep an eye on a few things here, okay? So, like, to me, the S&P 500, it broke that uptrend that had been in place for a very long time, for over a year. That's important. JP Morgan also down 11% from its highs here, broke its uptrend that had been in. Crude oil broke its uptrend that is in. So when I hear utilities are acting well, staples are acting well, I don't get particularly bullish here. And so my call very simply would be like, let's get oversold. Let's not bounce off a really soft mattress here here. Let's put a little fear in the market is what I'm kind of saying, because that would be the best setup for 2022 when you consider the fact that growth is likely to disappoint, right? And inflation is likely to come in. That's my take. Okay, those two things, you might say, all right, well, that's not so bad. But if you want to set up for a constructive thing where rates are going higher, like Jay-Z just said, next year, then you want some fear in the market here. And that would be a great time over the next few weeks. And then my take would be get back into that growth at a reasonable price, which is your Apple. It's basically your QQQ for all intents and purposes.
I mean, if Russell 3000 is only 5% off the peak, then maybe a feather bed would be the best medicine. But, you know, in terms of sinking deeper than just the mattress top, you know, feather bed offers not much support, but there's a little bit in there. So, Tim, where do you say we go?
Well, so if you lie on a bad mattress, you can get a pretty stiff neck. And I think you have a situation here where if you look at the S&P, we've only tested down to the 100-day a couple times in really since the COVID. So through the downside of the 100-day, we only did that back in the September to October period, and we kissed there in early December. That was a nice Posturepedic mattress. I mean, that was a place where you rested nicely. But I do think that the market wants to test through this 100-day. It's amazing that we have not. And again, it goes all the way back to the last place we really did that was through to the downside of COVID. With the Fed, with some other uncertainties, possibly some concern that the government's not throwing money at you. Yeah, I think this is not the softest mattress in the world. Maybe it's too soft. How about that?
I feel like Goldilocks here.